Hey guys, welcome to the Eagle Farm preview, and I've got our regular guest or representative from ComBet, Jake Howard. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good to be.
Yes, you've been punting very well. How's the bookmaking been going? That's probably more important than the betting side of things.
Mate, both have been going well lately. Yeah, so happy to
Oh,
be where I am at the moment. So hopefully I can keep it going.
God, everybody just analyzes your body language to the nth degree with your Twitter posts and videos, don't they? So,
But it's all energy. It's all energy, You just got to
anyway, it looks like a pretty ABC program here. We little bit of rain, tiny sprinkle sort of like stuff, and we're in the good range, so that'll just stop them over watering. And it's looking like we're definitely going to be on a good track on Saturday. Wind might be a little bit of a factor. My general rule of thumb is over 25 kilometers an hour actually starts to have some sort of effect. I don't really worry about it if it's less than that. Have you got an opinion? Are you looking for a particular kind of horse on the program, or is it just Jake finding grand finals?
just pretty much finding grand final. I've got enough trouble sort of trying to do the form and in fact trying to work out the speed maps and the track bias in advance is just too hard. So I try not to waste too much energy on that and just focus my energy more on the money in the market and also the horse's form.
Yeah, it's interesting as far as the map is concerned, which is very important. But the thing is, there's that many good people putting out maps these days that what I do is just sort of like to reduce the amount of work I've got to do is just sort of like have a look at other people's maps, like Ratings to Wins map or RaceNet or whatever you get, Racing New South Wales for Sydney stuff
Yeah,
and stuff like that, and then just make adjustments if I think they're slightly wrong or incorrect. And that
yeah.
means I can do the map in a few minutes rather than spend it half an hour on every race doing the goddamn map. I've found that pretty handy now that I'm betting in so many jurisdictions and I've got to, time's money, Jake. Time's
Yeah,
money, mate.
and you're less dirty on yourself when the map's just completely wrong
Yeah, yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah. Sweet. Well, let's get stuck into it. What was it?
yep.
6 meter rail position. I'm as far as track pattern is concerned. Yeah, I'm regularly Eagle Farm here, which is like track fair. Track
Yep.
fair in these conditions. I'm just happy to try and find the right horses at the right time. Let's start off in race one over the 1,000 meters. And what have you found here?
Yeah, sure. Look, I know you don't sort of pay too much attention to the money and the flux and that, but what I find, I always look for the early money and the late money because I find them to be the most sort of potent. And in the first, there's been no early support for Lost in Transit. All the support's been for number 2, Hold On Honey. And they do look the 2 in the race. I did have a quick look at the speed map in this race, and I think Lost in Transit's outside of sort of 2 outside of Hold On Honey, and I think Hold On Honey just finds the right rails and wins. So and that's what the money's suggesting in the early
Look,
money anyway.
I say to everybody that I pay no attention to betting. I mean, obviously that's not the truth. Of course, that is market intelligence. Saying that, I know how easy it is to manipulate an early market with just smallish bets from a targeted account.
Yeah.
I think the real intelligence comes like sort of last, 5 minutes, 8 minutes of betting is when maybe that information has value.
Yeah.
Saying that, I love to disagree with it because it means if I disagree with that money, it means I'm disagreeing with the syndicates, which means I can get more money on. So, but it does mean something. It does mean something. For me, well, it's easy, isn't it? Lost in Transit is coming off Sunshine Coast form, mate, and not against super strong horses. Look, I've got these wrong in the past here with these B grade tracks going to the A grade tracks. Saying that, man, isn't this just like the bet of the day? Number 2, Hold On Honey.
That's what I thought.
Uh,
Like, well, I've got my bet of the day a bit later, but yeah, it was right up there.
Like, I mean, 17 starts is a little bit too exposed for me, but how about the form out of that Eagle Farm 1,000 meter race? Like,
yeah.
like
And
you
oh,
got
sorry.
hard to say and maximum output coming out, it just franking it like the best form race ever. We stay at 1,000 meters with the 3 weeks off. That's absolutely perfect. And I get B Thornton going on. I get options from 4. You know what the lovely thing about the map was, Jake, is that everything inside the 3, inside the 4, this thing can cross easy. So
Yeah.
the decision-making process for the jockey is simple because the other pace is outside.
Yeah.
So he either leads or he sits behind lead.
Yeah.
Of course, I'd prefer leading, of course, as I always would, but I think it's either because these are a weak bunch. There's a slight question mark about 3. Easy to take $2.80 hold on honey. So what did you say the flux were on hold on honey then?
The flux were, let me just get that up. All right, so I think that I always use the tab because they're always the first up, and that's what the snipers sort of watch. So they're waiting with bated breath. It was $3. It's open up $3, and it's into $2.50 with the tab.
Okay, beauty.
Yeah,
beauty.
So,
Anyway.
but one thing I look forward to when doing it, just to get a quick guide. If you look at Lost at Transit's last run, okay, it won by a length in a $28,000 race, benchmark 65.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at Hold On Honey. It got beaten under a length in a 85K, class 6 type of thing. I think that there almost tells you everything you need to know.
You know what I'm looking at on my sectional data too, in that it is week late. So some might say the 12 back to the 1,000 is all right, but it was week late over the 1,000 as well, and it's going to have to work from wide. So if it's week late and it's got to work from wide as well, I can take a set against it. Is it the second? Do you mark it second in your pricing? Yeah, you do, but never like hold on, honey. It's got to be an even money shot, mate. Easy bet.
Yeah.
Let's move on to race 2 over the 1,000 meters yet again. And Jesus, how much work did you put in here, or did you just say I'll leave this one to Gordo?
No, I've been having to spend a bit of time on the 2-year-old races, like just trying to work out a plan of attack because when you got to put prices up for every runner, you got to do something. You got to have some sort of strategy. Basically, you just don't know until they're put under race pressure. You just don't know how they're going to go. So the obvious thing is just to lay the favorite, and that's what out of, I think Munster's got the favorite here. It's out of barrier 14. So I'm against it. I love horses that have had a race start. I just think that experience is massive. You've seen them under the race pressure.
The favorite is with Barry Lockwood. Second
favorite. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That must have changed since I last did the bloody. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm talking about this. Yeah, I was talking about the second favorite. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just love horses that have got race experience. But in saying that, these races are a bit difficult because there's always about 6 or 7 Mashani runners in the race. So that's where I use a guide, the betting as a guide, just to see which one of those runners has firmed. So if we go through the markets just quickly, there's been no support for Munster's runner, that number 6 Khaleesi, from that wide gate. And there was no money either for Moe at Midnight, number 4. But I think that might have just changed. No, what did it open up at? Open up at 280 with the tab, and it's out to about 310. So yeah. So there's been no money for it. The 2 there were money for was number 7, Mashani Fire, that had the start. I think was it last?
Yeah, it was the Saturday. I mean, it says Toowoomba there, but it was the Saturday Metropolitan meeting a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah, and you'll notice there it was funny. There would have been there was an army of Mashani horses in that race, and it's blown from $5.50 to $8. So on that day, that wasn't the Mashani runner on the day.
Well, the Mashani runner that ended up winning it was an over 20 shot, but wasn't it? It was very strange, that race.
Yeah, well, that was the same as last week. The race at the 2-year-old race in Brisbane, when I think it was Mashani Lily.
Oh, it was that one. That's what
it was. It was the firmer type of thing. It was the firmer. So
are you saying you lost on the race? Is that what you're saying?
No, because
Are you talking through your pocket, Jake, here, or are you doing form?
No, we actually won on we won on that race because the money identified it. The early money, suggested. I mean, there was an army of Mashani runners in it, and I just wanted to keep safe the one that had been backed early. So this week it suggests that Mashani fire. If I go to the betting, it hasn't been much, but it's sort of 850. It got in as low as 650, and now it's sort of back out to 8. So I think that's the one where there's a little bit of smoke. But the other one was number 11, Sambuca, for Lee Freeman. There's been a money for it to suggest that it'll run well. So they're the two for me to keep an eye on. But it is hard to have too much confidence in these 2-year-old races.
Well, for everybody out there, there's 2 horses that Jake mentioned there that come out of the same trial. So you should probably look at that 840-metre trial at Doomben. It was Heat 15 where Kylisa and Sambuca were in the same trial. For me, look, I hate this race. I didn't spend as much time as I probably should have, just because I thought, like, if I spent a lot of time on, I still wouldn't, come to a solid conclusion. So I was better off spending time on other races. Look, I'm just going to go yet again, like just simple sort of variables here, and that is I'm going to have something on number 13. I doubt it, just because it's Neesham Thornton and 2-year-olds with good connections. And the trial was interesting because I give an extra tick to young horses, particularly 2-year-olds, if they actually do it inside. Now, if you have a look at it, had to go inside and was ridden more than I'd like it to be. But have a look through past the post. Looked kind of nice to me. So she can hide them in trials as well. So going inside horses, making ground, reasonable past the post, $12 to find out. I thought that was the easier play than mucking around with some of these others. And I'm pretty sure it's a weak race. So maybe that trial was good enough. Time wasn't as good as some of these others, but yet again, it's $12 to find out with the right connections. Let's move on to race 3 over the 1,200 meters. And what have you got here?
It's hard to say. With the Daytona comes out, which sort of played havoc with the early markets. It races later in the day. All the money, though, has been for number 4, Brocky type of thing. It's the one that's had the early support. It's had the it's got form behind Vodka Martini, Zarastro, but then you look at its last start, and it's got form behind Lost in Transit. It's had 51 starts, so the market's trying to tip me into Brocky, and I don't know how many runs it's had this preparation, because it just goes off the page in my form guide. But I just found this a really hard race for me. Brocky's the one where they're all the money, but I can't get too enthused about it.
The lines look right, and we know exactly what Brocky is. We know what figure it can do. Is it good enough to win this race? Well, it could be. It could be. Yeah. Around that price range. By the way, there's no way it's going to start favourite, because there's a moral in the race. But anyway, what if...
Well, then I had a look at standing order, Golan and Ormond, but first up, do I want to be taking $2.45 about it? You probably say yes, but yeah, it's just a race that I'd prefer to stay out of.
Yeah, I'm quite willing to take a short price about standing order. The trial was absolutely sensational for a Golan trial. He put his gun jockey on in Ormond. We got options from Barrier 7. I'll just bring up the map. And the stuff it was doing in Sydney was good enough. So, isn't it just weird, Jake? You really got to watch these horses that come from decent stables in Sydney, and Golan takes them up into Queensland. Christ, he's doing a magnificent job with them. So it showed it has talent. He has the ability. I think it's a bit of like 50-50 here, and that is Golan can get him going really well in the different conditions up there with the sun on their back. And on top of that, they're running against weaker opposition, So I know he's had the 2 runs with it, but the first run, that he got this horse off Snowden was a dominant victory over Cronenberg. Well, that form has definitely been franked, hasn't it? But that
Yeah,
was over 1350. And I like the fact that now he's had a full prep with it. So he's had a full prep, and then we get the evidence of the trial being sensational. I'd say this thing is a moral. I think it's got lengths on the opposition, and I like its options from the map. The major pace is outside. There's a little bit of pace inside, but it's either OSL or one out, one back. I'd suggest.
yeah,
I think it's difficult for Ormond to fuck this up. And when the major danger is Brocky, who has those good lines, it's kind of like, well, if you beat me, who cares?
yeah,
Like I'm not worried to lose in that scenario because you're never going to be a bet for me.
yeah. And then you've got that Lee's horse down there towards the bottom, that Yankee Hustle type of thing. It's won 1 from 13. It's been running around in Group 1 races or whatever, but that's over 2,000, 2,000 plus. Now it's resuming. It's had 3 first up starts for I think 1/3, and it's $6.50. So if you like standing order, there's not really much out there.
I'm saying, where are they going to go? If it's going to be soft, and my general rule is first up horses off reasonably longish breaks or decent sized breaks, they can be soft. I don't think this one will be. It's definitely, look, I'm not going to rush into 260, but I can't see where the percentage is, because I found negatives about another 2 in the market, which is 1 Ready for Anything and 3 Uncle Russ as well, who are taking up a fair percentage, as well as the Lee's horse that you mentioned that's taking up a fair percentage. I'm just standing order, just yelling. Oh, here we go. 2 Monties, 2 race 1, race 3. We can start off with a big bang, then you can just keep on betting with Jake. Where do we go to bet with you, Jake?
Yeah, come to ComBet. Yeah, combat.com.au. So we always throw up. We aim to throw up. Our markets will be going up around 11 a.m. And we always aim to be the best in the market when we put them up. So come check it out.
Beauty. Lots of people have, and they've been loving the experience. And what about the auctions on the day? Where are they going to be?
The auctions will be in. We'll have one. The Turnbull in Melbourne,
Yep.
and the Hill Stakes in Sydney.
And they're still going off under 100%.
Yeah, still going off under 100%. We're sort of caught between. I need to get more auctions in, just to try and build it up and build the interest. So we're working on a way to do that. But they're still going for under 100% for anyone who wants to play.
It's like handing out.
And wants to make money.
Handing out pineapples, guys. Get involved.
Can't give it away.
Race 4, 1,400 meters. What have you got?
Race 4. All right. There's been no early support for number 7, Champagne Bender, at all. That's Neesham's horse. All the money has been for number 1 in Evidence. There's been some money for number 2 Booming Lad and number 6 Red Defcon. But yeah, I was with In Evidence here. I just think it's got 4 wins and 4 placings. Look, there might be something that's uncovered in the field that could come out, but I think if you look at the rest of the field, they've had 4 wins and 4 placings between and 4 seconds between them, and it's had 4 wins and 4 seconds by itself. So yeah, I was having a look at its last start. I think it just got too far back last start, and it was running on well. And I'm expecting it to be a lot handier this time.
There was bias on that occasion as well. That last 200 over the 1350 at Doomben is looking rock star. So up to the 14 at Eagle Farm looks perfect. Barrier 8 looks perfect. Wheeler Sticking looks perfect. And guess what, mate? I'm probably not going to bet. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Like, you obviously are.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty keen on it.
Yeah, we're getting late preparation. I mean, I didn't find it when it won at Doomben because it was coming off the Rockhampton Mackay stuff, and I wasn't sure how that was going to line up. Probably, the run last start is the goodie of them all, even though it didn't win. you know.
And it was wide the whole trip.
Yeah, I know, and there
Was
was bias on that occasion. It
yeah.
was a really good run. I'm just sort of like thinking, maybe I can if I give it the full push for being at Eagle Farm. Maybe I can find a way because it's the only horse I'm interested in. My decision at the moment was back in evidence or don't bet, and at the moment I was leaning towards not betting in the race. But Jesus, there's a few ticks there, mate. But I hate it when they get that late in the preparation, Jake. You know what I mean? Like it's like, what is it up? It's what 6 up this preparation now. Like,
Well, you're waiting for them to fall off the cliff.
yeah.
Basically, yeah. Everything else, early in the prep, you're just banking on them improving, and you're just waiting for that one last race where it just falls off a cliff, and you've got your money on it, And
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to race 5 over 1830. And what have you found here?
Probably found the same one as you, I would dare say. There's been no.
Well, these days, when anybody finds a favourite, they just assume that I've found the favourite. Do they? Is that what people tend to think?
This particular one, I think. But there's been no early support for number 2, fifth position, number 3, Red Wave, or number 7, Holstein. All the support has been for number 5, Cronenberg. That's who I'm with. That's who we referenced the form earlier in the program. And I think we'll reference that same form again later in the program. I can't sort of go past Cronenberg.
The interesting thing is the 1830, mate, like the up and distance. What are you suggesting anything there? Because it's got up to the 1800 at Eagle Farm before and hasn't performed. That was the question mark I had. It was just a distance question mark. It's only got to 1800 once, and it was one of the disappointing runs of its career. Any thoughts? I mean, it looked really strong last start, didn't it? Like off style last start, and the 1350 to the 16, like the progression looks perfect. But have you got an opinion there? I'll just bring up some sectional.
I've just got to trust Golan, and then trust that he knows the horse better and would be sort of taking that into account. Obviously, you see 1650 and it's over 3 of it, 3 times over that distance. So it is a bit of a, it is a bit of a chink. But if it's over that 1650, it's probably starting odds on or over 1600,
Yeah.
So that's probably what you're getting a little bit of value for. I
suppose the tempo will be soft as well. It's not a lot of pace, so it won't be like a really trying 1830.
There's always a chance. I mean, he's also got the second or one of the second favourites in the race. He hasn't got the second one that's down the bottom, but 5th position. So he jumps from barrier 1. It's 1-4 from 36. So you always start questioning a little bit when you've got that the stablemate in there. Have they just sort of entered Cronenberg in there, just to, get a better price for it? Down the bottom, you've got Blackcomb, which I think, it's coming up from Sydney, but it's won, 3 from 20. I can't really get too enthused about it.
Yeah, and I'm just not really enthused about the Chris Lee stable at the moment, to be honest. For a stable that I used to have some good results with, I've really got them down in my my trainer ratings at the moment. So that's another negative about that horse. Look, I was going to back 2 horses in this race, Jake, and that is because Cronenberg is dead set flying and this is such a weak race. Of course, I've got to at least win something small on it. Okay.
Yeah.
The weird thing was that the one I'm probably going to have the better result on is Holstein. Now, I don't mind the coming back in distance because it didn't really get to show its whole wares there at Eagle Farm, at Lismore last start, because we were there, of course, watching it live. And Glenn Pollitt bought it in the Calcutta. It was the highest priced horse, and he bought it because he thought it was immoral. And he was very upset with Andrew Mallion's right on that occasion. We'll call that a glorified barrier trial. And obviously no problems with 1,800 metres with this horse. And then we're looking for a line to say, like, how do you compare with Cronenberg? And we've got it, man, because we've got the Doomben run, 5 starts back where they ran against each other. And I thought Holstein's run was as good as Cronenberg's, and that was over 1650. So I've got lines through the favourite, and I've got more evidence that it handles the 1,800 metres. So my position was going to be to level stake both 5 Cronenberg and 7 Holstein, because I'm not really impressed with the rest. And I've definitely found a chink in the second favourite there.
Yeah.
So I thought that, I know that's a fair percentage, guys, but it's like I'm really happy to bet that way. When you're comfortable about a bet, it just feels right.
And you get all the map favors too, like I'm not much of a map reader, but if you look at that map, it's just, yeah.
Well, there's 2 positions for my horses, man. Holstein either leads or sits behind lead, and Cronenberg is probably 1 out, 1 back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 lovely map positions as well. And the other horses don't have any ability. They're just really comfy for me. Race 6 over 1,200 metres. And what have you found here?
Race 6. There's been no early support for number 11, Storm Fortress. So it's sort of at $6. But the early support's been for number 1, Pocketful, number 2, Nashira, number 8, Daytona, and number 13, Outlawed. Daytona, Gollum scratched Daytona from that earlier race. And I just love those. I mean, it's an old thing, but I just love those dual acceptors. It just reminds me of that game show where you had 3 doors to choose and then they take one away. You know?
By the way, it's interesting that I forget the name of it. It's a mathematical thing.
Yeah.
No. It's a mathematical thing about whether you should change your selection or not, given certain information.
Yeah.
Have you? It's quite an interesting problem. What people don't get right is that the way you word the question determines whether it's a percentage advantage to change doors or not.
Yeah.
Monty something problem, I think it's called. It's an interesting mathematical thing. So what it is, guys, is there's 3 doors, and then you know what I mean. One is said it's not, and then are you better off changing or not? Now, it depends on the wording of the question. It's got to be worded in a particular way in which it's actually valued to change your selection, because it gives you extra percentage without being correct. But Monty Hall problem. I think it's the Monty Hall problem.
The Monty Hall?
I think it is. Or am I thinking of Monty Python? Anyway, I haven't looked at it in a while, because we did some funny stuff, Dad and I, because we were doing some maths on it to prove, how people who aren't mathematicians do it. And we go, no, it depends on what they say. It's very important what they say. So officially, you're better off changing because it's worded correctly. But the person that told us it worded in a particular way in which it wasn't value. It actually stayed the same. But anyway, funny stuff. Oh, man, you got me excited now, Jake. Me and Dad doing maths together. You know about that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
He hates probability, but he's more, he likes other fields of maths. But yeah.
And for anyone out there thinking of sending their kids to maths tutoring, do not do it at like 3 o'clock of a Friday afternoon. That is the worst time to send your kids to maths tutoring. If you do that, they'll end up like me. They just end up not going.
They're scarred.
Yeah.
What's the go? What's the go here?
Yeah, I was I watched Daytona's last replay a few times, and I was, it was caught wide, up on the pace. And it was first up, and I don't think it's a first up horse. It improved second up. I like the fact that it was scratched from that earlier race for this one. It's the one that I'll be focusing most of my attention on tomorrow. I just go back to that sort of last prep where it had that race again. It ran in the Group 2 Far Lap Stakes. And was beaten sort of under 3 lengths by Zugotcha. That's the sort of form that I'm looking for in this race. I don't think anything else has sort of got form like that. So it's the one that I sort of can't go past. Obviously, you got Outlawed down there at the bottom. I just don't like the fact that it's run second a lot more times than it's won. Yeah,
I backed it last start, and I'm kind of interested in backing Cotty in a later race as well. And I
yeah,
don't mind the line through Target Shark. The horse is flying.
yeah.
I don't think you should knock that data point too much, Jake, because three wins have been in its last four starts. So maybe it was a place getter before then, but that's pretty much been overturned by now.
Yeah, I think Tom Melbourne ruined that for me.
Yeah. Don't you
Yeah,
wish
it's all.
now that you're a bookmaker, Jake? Don't you wish Tom Melbourne was still running around?
Oh,
Eh?
mate, you'd love it. Absolutely love it.
So
But yeah,
what? You're just backing Daytona?
yeah, I think yeah, Daytona off that last start. Yeah, that's the one that I want to be on here.
Look, I can't put one pocket full or 13 outlawed in the bin. Like they're not pen jobs or anything like that, but there is a super easy bet in this race, and it's Daytona. I thought that was a great resumption to racing with the stable change. Yet again, the horse running in the higher grade stuff that goes to Golan, that really good trial, pretty much given none on that occasion, was ridden by CJ Graham. CJ Graham gets off it for the number one rider, Orman. Options from 10. Isn't this just such a comfy bet, around $4.40? And yet again, who's top odds? Like Sports Bet are top odds. And we know that their analysts can't price a race to save their lives. So, that's another good positive lead for us, Jake.
Yeah.
Not saying anything about that one. Didn't want to make a joke or anything like me. No.
No.
Seeing as though I love the two blokes and I think they're super intelligent, but anyway, I've got to take the Mickey. Isn't that just a super easy bet, guys? Let's butter up on this thing, man. Yeah, I'm keen.
Yeah,
like it's not Monty or anything like that, Jake. It's just like again, just a super easy bet.
Yeah, it was the only one I kept coming back to. So.
It's funny when I watched the video of that run last start, and it was actually weird because I saw the horses it ran against, and I thought, oh well, maybe I can't be as strong because I look at data first, then I do videos. Maybe I can't be as strong as I was going to be, and then when I watched the video, I thought, no, there was a lot more credit to that run than I realised. So
it was just caught wide on the speed, first up. It's going to be this time around.
Yeah, that was a good run, man. Jesus Christ, we're going to have a fill up on Saturday, Jake. The only problem is,
hope so.
all my clients are going to be betting with ComBet, so you might struggle from the bookmaking perspective here up in Queensland, mate. So
I know that's the difficulties with these, with these bookmakers tipping and even tipsters tipping. You get some promotion out of it, you get, but then you're cutting your own, you're cutting your own grass.
Okay, yeah, I don't think you are. I know that Stooty does think that, Jake, but tell him he's dreaming. Okay?
Yeah.
All you got to do is make sure you keep his race one in Brisbane selection safe, and then you forget about the rest.
All you got to do is be in there whenever one of his selections wins.
Is it just
and they've backed it? Type of thing, it's unbearable. It's unbearable. Like because he's like, I tipped it, but like it's just mixed emotions.
I love it. He's such a legend. Race 7, 1,500 meters. And by the way, everybody out there who is watching this show, we are giving our 100%, 100%. That's a double 100% genuine selections here. There's no being dodgy for a bookmaking perspective, particularly not from me.
No, definitely not from me. I can't lie to save me.
What's going on? Race 7, 1,500 meters.
Mate, I thought this was wide open, very wide open. The no early support for number 9, Lolly Yates, number 11, Poetic Drama, or number 7, Acrophobic. The early support was for number 14, Sunset Sorry, and number 15, Bronson. I really wanted to go wide here. I was trying to find a roughie, and I was looking at the number 8, Lorania, and I'm looking. There's got to be something there. If you look back at its last prep, it ran 7th, and then one third up. This time it goes 0-0 into this third up, but I watched its replays and I just can't go anywhere near it. So that was a bit of a letdown for me.
Well, particularly because you would have got 800 to 1 on the fair.
Yeah, and I love tipping those long price those long price horses. I should say winners, but those long priced horses. But I couldn't go anywhere near it. In the end, like I think I'm just about backing every bloody T-Gol and Orman horse, but I think that
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Sunset Soiree, once again, it last start, if you watch its last start replay, it just got taken back, and it was just too far back. It was too far back, and it was running on. I think it's going to be ridden a lot more, a bit more positively. This start from a better barrier, and yeah, I think it's the one that that I want to have my money on. Lolly Yates, yeah, I can't really knock it from the Nation yard. It was just that, yeah, my preference was with Sunset Soiree.
Well, it's an interesting one, and that is like I've sort of marked it from a price perspective, like sort of in market order, but I sort of didn't really, because it's going to be like a really low confidence race for me. So I suppose similar to you, Jake, I went looking for some sort of a roughie. I think I might have found it, mate. I think I might have found it. And it's number 7, It's at a barrier 22. So whether they run or not, I don't know. But I'd really like them to run because this is a perfect setup for this horse. You notice like for long spell, 20 weeks, resumes over 1,200, stays at 1,200, comes second to Outlawed, but that's still not its grand final. And then it pops up to what its peak distance is, because its best figures are over 1,400 and 1,600 metres, and we're running over 1,500 metres. So we're third up at 50. You know how you're looking for grand finals? I thought you'd find this horse, mate. It's 20 to 1.
Yeah.
It gets the jockey on it that had the success for its victories last preparation as well in Angela Jones. It's just so much intent here for a horse that's 20 to 1. You know what? Like if it had a draw on 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, like I'd be like unloading each way on it. Saying that, I've got, I am Brosnan from Lolly Yates, but they're not bets for me. From Sunset Soiree, but 7, although it's not even in my it's only my like 4th or 5th selection, is just such a comfy bet for me. And have a look at that too, mate. You like your win percentages: 8 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Grand final time. Bloody hell, I thought we'd be fighting over who tipped this one first. So I'm glad we did it.
No, it was the jockey combo. The jockey combo that got me initially. I was pretty excited about that, but it was just the barrier.
Yeah.
What it's going to do from that barrier, and if you look at the main chances, you got Brosnan, you've got Lolly Yates, you've got I think Eagle Crag or whatever, and that Cusack. They're all drawn, to get soft runs.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it was just that wide barrier that sort of turned me off Coddy.
Beauty. Okay, well, that's my roughie of the day, guys. The reason why we're getting that price is because of the barrier. I hope they don't scratch, because they might. You know how trainers hate that, Jake. Like next start is grand final for this horse. And then because it's got the wide barrier, they scratch it to wait for another opportunity where they draw better. I hope they don't. I hope they just take the punt, because even with that barrier, it's a great shot at 20 to 1.
Yeah.
Race 8, Queensland Cup, mate, 2,400 metres.
Yeah, and no early support here for number 3, Fancy Man, number 5, Parry Sound, number 6, Tappy's Lad, number 10, Little Mix, which I think's come out. I think I just saw. Early support is for number 1, King Frankel, number 7, Military Gambler, number 8, Linthorpe Lad, and number 9, Sayel. I've been waiting for Parry Sound. I really like Sarah Ryan, and I think it's been running in some okay races. I think she had it nommed for the Metrop. And one of the things I like to do is just go through the longer distance races, whether it's a whether it's a Metrop or a Derby or something like that, or even a Guineas for a 3-year-old, and just see which horses prefer or their trainers think are Group 1 level but need a bit of distance. And then what I like to do is just follow those horses through their preps.
Wait for when they're ready to peak. Yeah.
Yeah, wait for when they're, they obviously think that it's up to a Group 1 level, they obviously don't know early on how it's come back, but they think it's got the potential to get there. And they're probably not expecting it to do much first and second up. But it's fourth up now. And I just thought it's nearing a stage where it should be doing something. So I was pretty interested in it. But the one I'm really interested in is the top weight King Frankel. Its form doesn't look great, 0-0.
No. Glenn Pollitt's on the Sydney review tomorrow morning, Jake. Yeah. You don't get my jokes? You're not getting my jokes here, Jake? It's come 12th and 16th and 12th and 13th by 15 lengths. I thought that was only GP that found horses like this. Anyway,
have a look at it. Have a look at its last start replay. I think it was a cobweb run. They had a change of tactics to second up. I think it was a second up second up. To go forward, and it was right up on the pace out wide, and I think it was just a cobweb run to blow the cobwebs out. Third up, its third up record's not too bad. Coming back from a Group 3 in, at Randwick where it was running again, where it was eyeballing just
on
fine.
Pace. Yeah.
And now it's going to draw barrier 1. That start came out from barrier 10. Now it draws barrier 1. It's fitter for the run. It's dropping down in grade. For me, it looks the bet, and the early money's there supporting that theory.
The question you need to ask yourself is the horse gone or not? Now, I tend to want more than 6-1 to find out whether a horse is gone or not, because the evidence at the moment is the horse is gone. Yes, it's grand final, like you're right, third up perfect. If it got anywhere near those third up runs previously, it'd probably win this race. I just don't think it's a horse anymore. I'm going to lean to that side of things. I definitely have number 2 Desert Icon on top, but the commandments up there over distance racing 2,400 meters. I don't get involved in 6-4, $2.50, $2.60 or whatever. But it's got the absolute bee's knees form, mate. Like seriously, like look at that Newcastle Cup is looking like one of the best distance form races you've ever seen. The form out of it is so franked. It's a really good run there. You were a really good run in the Colin Stephen last start in Group 3, where there's a horse that won that race going down to a major race in Melbourne and is running around at a very short price. Saying all that, 37 starts, 6 wins, 2,400 meters. Got to take $2.60 to find out. I don't do it. So on top, but not a bet. So at the moment, I could be napping. I thought the interesting one was the one that you first mentioned, Jake, which is number 5, Parry Sound, because as I said, I'm loving that Newcastle Cup as a good, solid form reference, and it definitely should be peaking fourth up. And I know 2 people that do some stuff for Sarah Ryan, and they're sharp guys, and they would definitely be putting in this race for a very good performance. So I was Desert Icon from Parry Sound, but
I was just a bit disappointed with the barrier for Parry Sound. I just don't know what it's going to do out there. I can see it getting caught, sort of, and that's why
it could be in hell. Real good chance it could be 3 wide.
Because I was really excited waiting for it, fourth up, next start and that. But just that barrier, I don't know, I can't see it but not running 3 wide the trip,
Yeah. Mate, there is a flukish chance it gets in with some cover. It's an interesting race, and let's move on to the nightcap, which is, well, there's a very interesting horse. We're over 1,400 meters here, and this is the ComBet and RacingRant champion tipping performance here. But more importantly, we've got to find the winner on this occasion, not last start, Jake. I'm talking about Chatty Lady, of course, guys, which was a unanimous tip by all three boys on the review a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was like 20s into 10s or something like that, wasn't it, Jake? So.
Yeah, it was a big go. I know, Trent was pretty happy about it. So yeah, it's whether it can.
You always say that with this like smirk on your face, mate. Like you should have seen him. Oh, he was embarrassing, God.
No, well, you don't want to give the impression the bookies are too happy, you know. Yeah, you just got to be miserable, miserable and Trent.
You've got that covered, mate.
I don't know. I don't know if Trent wants to give you all these secrets away, but his big thing is he's just got to be angry at the punting gods, because
it's always their fault.
It's always their fault because if you're angry at them, they go, we've got to give this guy a break, We've got to give him one, Whereas
my God, this sounds like some sort of like self-help bloody book. Jesus Christ, just think positively or negatively and reverse psychology the gods,
Yeah.
Anyway, what have you found, mate?
Mate, we have got no early support for number 7 Delalat or number 11 Star of Chaos. Early support for number 1 Ned's Gully, number 3 Chatty Lady, number 6 Briar's Kingdom, and number 12 Preach. I did have a look at the speed map for this race because I thought it was important, and basically Preach is going to sort of lead on the rail, I think, and Star of Chaos is going to come across. They're going to be, and I think they're the two to look at. I found them very hard to split, so I don't know which way I'm going to go with them at the moment. Outside of them, Release the Beans. I don't mind it, although I was a bit disappointed with it last start. And obviously we've got Chatty Lady there again. But yeah, what did you think?
It was actually weird because when the boys were tipping that horse, Chatty Lady, last start, I was thinking, its peak is going to be the start afterwards, which is this one. Do you know what I mean? Because I was waiting for it to get to 14 at a track like Eagle Farm, and then it happened to get the win just like one start too early for me. So I'm suggesting it won even with upside and more peak to come, which means I've got to entertain backing it again. I love the options from 5. I know KWT is a good jockey, but I've got Orman rated higher than him, not up on weight much off a night. Like the late sectionals there for Chatty Lady are great, which super indicated to me that the up an extra 100 meters is going to be absolutely perfect. So look, I've got Chatty Lady on top, mate. It's actually weird saying that. I love go forward horses always, and I like them even more later on in the day. Just wasn't sure about how strong Preach and who was the other one that was going for us, Star of Chaos. And I thought, do they just completely control, or do they kind of cut at each other a little bit, and then there's going to be these two horses just sucking in behind them that can do some nice lace stuff, and one of them's Chatty Lady, and the other one is 7 Dalahat, mate, which I know it's getting later in the preparation than I like backing Doyle, because I like him really early preparation, but that's a proper metropolitan race that comes out of there at Randwick in Kaboo, Garza Blanco, Coyote. Got opinions of all three of those horses. I like the way it returned to racing. There's a big question mark. I'm not sure whether 1,400 meters suits, but I just thought with those nice lines, it could do something. And, we've got to cheer on Darren Flindell because he's one of the owners and he's our number 1 race caller in Sydney. And I noticed there's Farrell in the ownership there as well. And they go to the Doncaster Hotel, Jake, and make sure that the table that we all sit at doesn't blow away. So they do a good favour for us, those two blokes. And you know what? If we can run 14, it's some sort of a chance. So, I'm Chatty Lady from Dalahat, and I'm sort of anti-map betting that play, which doesn't make me super comfortable, but I'm kind of happy one of those two might run over the top of them.
Delalat was the first one I went to. I love Doyle, and I love horses third up, and everything. But the problem I had with that horse was that its third up record's not great. It's had 5 starts for 0 wins, 1 second and 0 thirds.
Yep.
So I was looking at it and I was just wondering if it's maybe gone if it needs one more run. If they're set up there for and its next start, because it's form, it's Sydney form. The race it's been running in, is good.
But it's good enough to win this for sure.
Yeah.
You got distance query and you get Are You Ready third up. Now it's a weird one as far as when Mark analyzes Doyle, Mark Lamborn that is, he goes looking for them hard first up, pretty much pays no attention to them second up, and then starts looking for them again third and fourth up. So that pattern's looking not too bad with the horse as well.
If you look at its last prep, I think first up, it came 10th, then second up 5th, third up 7th, then it won. Then I think it won 2 in a row, one with a freshen up in between type of thing. So I think there's definitely a win in it this prep. I tend to sort of try and test my luck a bit and go, just one more run, just give it one more run. But it's but then you wonder,
like me with Chatty Lady, so we're thinking the same thing.
And then you do your head and you go, okay, well, are they going to send it up to Brisbane for just one more run, or do they want to give it a start up there before its target race? So
I'm happy to back those two. Anyway, Jake, it sounds like you're pretty keen on the program, mate. Give us your a couple of Monties and then your best roughy on the day.
Yeah, well, I didn't really go too wide. That's the problem. I like race 4, number 1, In Evidence, but the one I'm probably most keen on is race 6, number 8, Daytona. I think it'll be winning.
God, it's got a bit of a feel about it, and like easy price to take with that kind of level of confidence, mate. So
it just sounds fast too.
It does. Well, do you remember playing the video games? What was it? It was called Daytona, wasn't it? When we played that game in the, do you call them arcades? We called them arcades, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, play. Yeah, I've got it, Matt. I've got a theory on Daytona. So when they first created the game, what happened is they had 2 guys playing, and then they're playing. The first guy bumped the second guy out, hits a rock first lap, and then he's gone. You can't catch him up. That's the race over because he's just so far out. So then they brought in what I like to call the Daytona effect.
They give him a boosted car.
It slows down. It slows down the winner, and it speeds up the one behind to make it into a bit of a race.
It's exactly the same with Mario Kart. You know how you get all the stuff at the back there to let you catch up. Yes.
And I don't know how many hours I spend in the psychologist's office, but I always talk about whoever invented the world, whoever it was, like Captain Big Bang or God or the Snail God or whatever it was, that they created the Daytona effect. And it's this.
Really, Daytona I don't think they did, mate. I don't.
No,
think they
did,
works.
and what it is if you're extremely if you're extremely beautiful or whatever, the Daytona effect is that you're going to get hassled for the rest of your life, but by people just annoying you, if you become too successful, you've just got people chopping you down.
This is the most stupid psychology lesson I've ever heard. I think the exact opposite, mate. I think more along Darwinistic lines, but I'm glad that you think that way, Jake. But anyway, I was blessed with brains and beauty, and I'm flying. So what happened? What happened, mate?
Race 6, number 8, Daytona.
Yeah. Good luck and good punting, guys. I'm rather keen on that Eagle Farm program, but I think what I've mentioned during the races indicates. Hold on a sec. Did I miss a race? Yeah, I did. Race 10, mate. Didn't even realise there was 10 races. Bloody hell.
Do you know, I did that. I went through my form up and I went through it again to do the prep, and it was the one that I left out. I left out the last one because did they have 10 last week? I don't know if they had 10 last week.
Well, so they're all copying Peter V'landys. I apologise, guys, but I'm so used to doing 9 races in Queensland. Anyway, let's make it quick, mate. Did
kick
you
it
do
off.
it?
No early support, Mississippi Prince or gave us up. Early support for Quality Time, Steely, Roman Aureus, and Canadian Dancer. Canadian Dancer for me.
Yeah, it's flying this preparation.
Yeah.
It's flying this preparation. I've marked it favourite, but there is my roughie of the day in this race. It's number 4, Ranch Hand. If it gets back to look at it, it's been running about Think About It, Scravinas, Bandersnatches, blah blah blah. This horse, if it's right, is going to be super competitive. We're getting over 20-1 to find out. We're getting the gun jockey in Ormond. We're getting options from 9 last race of the day. We're getting Chris Waller. We're getting Larry Cassidy just completely necking it last start. It was a glorified barrier trial. If it's with us, it would win this race. Second up, 1,400 metres. Positive changes as far as connections is concerned. Over 20-1 to find out. Easy bet to place. So, yeah, roughie of the day, Ranch Hand for me. Beauty. Okay. Well, thank God I remembered that, Jake. That would have been embarrassing, wouldn't it? We were too busy talking about like the Daytona effect. But
the Daytona
anyway,
effect. Yeah. Research it. It's not anywhere yet, but it will be one day.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck. Good punting, guys. And yeah, bet up there at Eagle Farm. I think it's a nice little betting card. Thanks, Jake.
Cheers, guys.